Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Carla if you are new here, and I'm joined today by my beautiful sister Adriana. If you have just stumbled upon us on the YouTube page and you're like, who are these women and why are they talking? We both lost a considerable amount of weight over the last 3 years. Between the two of us, we've lost nearly 300 pounds. I talk a lot about this on the internet under the name HalfofCarla because I've lost over half my body weight, but I would never have done this if my sister Addrianna had not done it first. So if you like this kind of thing and you'd like to, see more from us and more from me, please consider subscribing, liking this video and turning on the notifications so you never miss a video. You guys have been asking, those of you who know who we are and know who I am, have been asking for a video with Adriana for quite a long time. And we thought we would do a Q&A, so we've asked on Instagram and on YouTube as well. So you can go follow both of us on Instagram, HalfofCarla and Doyle Design Dublin on Instagram. All the jewellery, the beautiful jewellery that I wear and that Adriana's wearing is from Doyle Design. But we thought what we'd start off just before we get into the Q&A is, you guys know my story. If you don't know it, I will leave it linked up here. I'm actually going to be doing an updated one very shortly, including my postpartum journey. But what I thought I'd do is just introduce Adriana and maybe get her to tell you a little bit about herself and what she's done and how she lost 92 pounds. So Adriana, if you could start us off with telling us your name, your age, and how you, a little bit of your history with your weight and your journey up to a certain point, and then how you actually managed to have a successful journey and how long it took you.
Wow, okay, how long do we have?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm Adriana. I'm delighted to be here, and I'm amazed that so many people have asked so many questions, and I'm really honoured, and I'm delighted. If I can help anybody with anything I say today, that would be made the whole experience worthwhile. So I am 52 now. I'll be 53 this year. So I had been overweight my entire life, like Carla. From toddler all the way right up through my teenage years, into my 20s and all that kind of thing. We were talking about this, Carla and I, earlier on. We were, I had this belief that I couldn't lose weight, that I was going to be overweight my whole life, and I hand on heart really believed that. And the experience changed for me. I had this because I think when we were younger, we had a lovely family life, and our whole world revolved around food. Food was everything. Food was love. Food was what you did when you were happy. Food was what you did when you were sad. Food was what you did when you had guests. Food was just a punctuation in your day, in your whole life experience. So we had a kind of a difficult relationship with food. That's an understatement of the year. So when I got into my 20s, and I left home when I was 18, a year after Carla was born, and I was living on my own, and I used to really enjoy treating myself with food, because I didn't have any supervision, because nobody was going to tell me you can't have that. Nobody was going to say to me, you shouldn't be eating that, you can take it easy with that, or whatever it was. I just thoroughly enjoyed myself stuffing my face, in all honesty. And when I got to about 28, I think I was tipping the scales, about 18 and a half stone, give or take. And a friend of mine...
What's that in pounds? Sorry, just for...
I honestly don't know.
Okay, well, I'll put it in here for the annotation at the bottom, sorry.
Yeah, but when I got to that point, I met a friend of mine. I didn't see her particularly often, and she came. She's a lovely lady, and she was living in Galway, the other side of Ireland, and we went out one afternoon, and it was an evening actually, and we were sitting in a pub, Brussels in Dublin. Carla would be very familiar with that. And she said to me, Adriana, why are you so fat? And why are you holding on to so much weight? And you've put on so much weight since the last time I saw you. And I was horrified. I remember the tears were streaming down my face. She was saying all this to me, and it was gut wrenching. I was cut to the core. And I remember thinking she was being so hurtful and mean and horrible to me. And I said to her, but this is just the way I am. This is my lot in life. This is how I am. And I genuinely believed that horse manure. I really believed that at my core. And she's looking at me like, do you need some help? Can I help you in any way? And I remember thinking, what? I was so defensive and so hurt. I was cut to the core. And I walked, we smoothed it over. She was coming from a lovely place. She was only coming from a good place. And it took balls to say that to somebody. And she was coming from a place of kindness, but I didn't get that at the time. And I walked away from that day thinking, that's an aberration, that's horrible. And then it just sowed a seed, and I started to really think about what she had said to me. And I realised that what I'd been telling myself, the narrative that I was, this is just the way it is, I'm this person, I'm going to be this size for the rest of my life, was old. It wasn't my voice. It was what I had been led to believe through my life coming up. And I thought, wow, this is a bit mad. And I started to kind of examine it and scrape around the surface of it and excavate a little bit and really think about it. And at the time I was studying, it was clinical hypnotherapy, neuro-linguistic programming and crisis counselling. That's a hell of a mouthful, isn't it? But anyway, I was doing that, and we had an exercise to do one day where we were working in pairs, and we had to visualize an issue that we had, and just everybody has a kind of a visual image of stuff in their head, and it's a powerful tool if you can work out what the image is and play with it a little bit. It's a technique, it's a brief therapy technique. But we were working on this issue that I had, and I had to visualize, and I said, I'll tackle my weight, I'd like to do something about it. And we realized, or when we were working together in pairs, but I realized that I had this visual image of like a peak like that, a really, really steep peak. And I was this tiny, well, not so tiny, little person down here, but this peak was so high. And this was where I wanted to be, but it was an almost insurmountable task to get to here. And I had this bizarre little line here across, just a little bit beyond where I was standing. And when we examined my beliefs around it, this little line was as much as I thought I would ever achieve. And that was a huge eye-opener for me. I just thought, wow, I'm living with all these mad, limiting beliefs, life like lies. It basically is what they are. It's limiting ideas that you're entertaining. They're just lies, So we ended up flipping this visual over this way. So it just became, rather than a mountain, it became a slide. And it's a powerful technique. And I went to one of the well-known weight loss programs, and I stood in the scales, and I was 18.5 stone, and my mindset was completely changed. I was just like, it doesn't matter what it is now, next week it won't be that. And it wasn't. And I lost 4.5 stone really, really quickly. It was the easiest weight loss I'd ever had because my whole head was now in the game. But I stopped short. I didn't go the whole way. I went from a size 22, 24, I don't know what that is, in like international sizes. I'm sure Carla will.
18 to 20 in the US.
In the US. So I went from 22, 24 down to a size 14/16, and I thought I was for the catwalk. I thought I was, and I was. I thought I was fabulous compared to where I had been. And I just thought, grand, that'll do, that's fine. And I managed, because I didn't have this difficult relationship with food anymore, I managed to hold on to it to a greater or lesser degree. But then I got pregnant with our daughter, and I quit smoking, and I put on 3.5 stone during the pregnancy, and I put on plenty more with the, alternating between cigarettes and no longer smoking. And I put on a good bit of weight, 3.5 stone, I think it was, at that stage. So I was starting to creep back up, and I never really managed to tackle it again properly. It always felt like something I'll get to that, I'll do that, and I was just starting to, 0.5 stone a year, you'd start to creep up over the time, it's generally if you're not maintaining it. And I always was trying to find a way to lose weight, or like looking for, a way, a method to lose weight. And I met a friend of mine at a trade show one year, and she wasn't particularly overweight. She was, she had been like, let's say, size 14 to 16. And we were chatting, and hadn't seen her for about 6 months, 8 months. And I remember looking at her going, you've lost an awful lot of weight. And she looked really svelte and really fit. And she said, tell you, I have. She said, I've lost nearly 3 stone. And she said, I'll tell you how I did it, and you need to do it. It's called body slims. And she was like, then you fly at it. And she was right. So I went the first night and I signed up for it. And at the time, that was January, and the course in January was already rolling. So I couldn't get into it until April. But I signed up for it, and I remember thinking, you know, this is it. Because you've done everything else. You've tried them all. Don't mess this up. Because if you mess this up, you know, there's nothing else. You're doomed. You know, you're going to spend the rest of your life overweight and getting heavier. So I went, and I think the rest is kind of history, speaks for itself. I put my bum in the chair and I said, right, I'll do this your way. And I did. And it worked. And it's still working.
How long did it take you? How much did you lose and how long did it take you?
I lost 6.5 stone, 92, 93 pounds. And it took me, interestingly, that's another interesting thing. The first round I started in April 2020. No, that was when we finished, April 2018. And I did first program, I lost 2 stone. And then I continued, rather than stopping in between programs, I took my foot a little bit off the accelerator. I kept losing, but not with the same velocity, because I really needed to keep my motivation on board. So I knew when I was going back in September, I wanted a big point of difference between, you know, the what I was eating and what the calorie reduction, and I wanted to really get a supercharge on it again then. So I wanted to create a little bit of point of difference, so I took my foot off the accelerator, lost another 0.5 stone in between the program. Then I went back in September, lost another stone, went back in January, lost another stone. So over, really, it took me less than a year to lose 5 stone, 5.5 stone, give or take. And then I decided to take a break. So the last program I did was in April. Of the bulk of my weight loss was in April, was the April program.
2019.
2019. And then I took a break and I went back in January 2020 together and lost the last stone at the end of it. And the reason I took that break was I wanted to prove to myself, and I know this sounds a little bit mad, that I could maintain it before I put the effort in to lose the last bit. It's kind of playing with your own head a bit, but it was, because I'd lost weight before and I'd put it back on again, I wanted to make sure I was bloody well going to hold on to it before I lost the last bit. And that's what I did and how I did it. If that makes sense.
Absolutely. Anyway, we're going to get into some questions that you guys have asked on Instagram and here on YouTube as well. So I think we're just going to get into it. There was a lot of questions.
There was a lot of questions.
And we think we might end up having to do this as a bit of a series. So if Adriana will allow me to take her on a Sunday afternoon again and do some more. But we have divided them up into kind of different categories, and we thought what we would do is take one from each category. I haven't named who the questions are from, so that we kind of give a little bit of anonymity to people who've asked. We're just going to get into it. So we're going to start off with like our weight loss experiences, and there's one question that came in, which is, it's quite a wordy question. So what was your sister's experience with the rate of her weight loss? This person had attempted to tackle her weight several times before the age of 50, but always gained it back. They have been on a weight loss journey since January of this year, and it's definitely slower after 50. Trying to show myself patience and remember that what you stated, that weight loss is not linear. What was your sister's experience with the rate of her weight loss? More specifically, and I apologize if this is too personal, but this lady is postmenopausal and it's far more frustrating now in terms of rate of weight loss than before. Would love if your sister would be willing to speak to that from her experience.
Well, I'm 48 now. Oh, sorry, 52 now. I was 48. I was 48 when I started, back in, it was 2018 when I did my first round of body slims. And I suppose I was perimenopausal then. I had missed a couple of periods. I wasn't really symptomatic or anything. So the rate of my weight loss, it went very quickly. You know, I didn't have an issue. It wasn't slow. I didn't find it particularly slow. It moved very, very quickly for me. And because now I'm at 52 now, at 53 this year, I am properly menopausal. I haven't had a period since 2020. So and I'm in maintenance now. So I don't really have an issue around, I can't speak to how quickly or how slowly it moves. I remember having a fear around it when I went, first of all, at 48. I remember thinking, if I don't get rid of it now, I'm going to be fat for the rest of my life. And I you know, and that was the way I thought about it when I was sitting there the first night. And I had a belief around that if I didn't get it done before I went into menopause, that I wouldn't be able to lose it. Maybe I wouldn't be able to lose it. There was that fear there, right? That's if I'm truthful about it. But I must, it's important to remember as well that you what you're telling yourself all the time, and I've said this to Carla before, and I know she said it, like your brain is a superpower, and if you keep telling yourself you can't do something, you keep limiting yourself with that belief system, you're going to make it a reality, you know, or at least make it more difficult for yourself. So you said you've had some success, and to my mind, if you can lose a pound, you can lose 100 pounds. You know, it may take a little bit longer, it may be a little bit slower, but it can be done. And the other thing to remember, I think, about that as well, is if you can if you're not losing weight, there's two things to my mind that could be happening, and I'm not a doctor. You're either, if you can hand on heart say to yourself that I am consistent, I'm doing this on the money every day, I'm giving it 100%, I'm not messing, I'm not cheating, and you're still not losing weight, or it's incredibly slowly, go and get yourself medically checked out. There could be something going on somewhere along the line. Or alternatively, maybe your method is flawed. You know, maybe whatever program or method you're using to lose weight doesn't suit you, doesn't suit your weight. Maybe your calories are a little bit too high, maybe you just need to adjust it a little bit. But I think the most important thing out of it is your mindset. You know, you have to trust yourself and have a bit of faith in yourself, and excavate the limiting belief that, you know, you mightn't be able to lose it, or you mightn't be able to lose it lastingly once you're over a certain age. I'm sure you can. So
we're going to move on to habits and challenges, and there is a question that came in that kind of, it challenged both of us to think about, but I think I'm going to answer this one because it's more about the overeating, and as a food addict and a former binge eater, which Adriana isn't, I think I might be better to answer this one, but I think Adriana might be able to interject as well in some points. But the question is, what do you do when you feel a craving to urge to overeat? How do you feel about the idea of never getting to overeat again? Do you feel hungry all the time on maintenance? And how do you go through hard times without using food? Does life feel somehow empty or frustrating without the addiction? Whew, wow, yeah. So there's a lot of questions in this one question.
Start from the top.
Yeah, okay. So what do you do when you feel a craving to urge or overeat? So I would consider a craving and the urge to overeat two very different things. For me, a craving is like, oh, I'd love a pizza tonight. And for me, if I love a pizza tonight, I'd kind of think like, what have I had today? You know, what have I, you know, have I had like a lot today? Maybe pizza wouldn't be my best choice for my dinner, or, you know, if it didn't kind of work within my ideal kind of calories for the day, I might be like, you know what, tomorrow night I think I'll have a pizza. And sometimes I find that if I let the craving go for, you know, a day or two, it kind of dissipates anyway. Sometimes I find that if I don't kind of give into it, if I don't have like satisfy the craving, I know when I was losing weight that if I had a craving, I would kind of leave it for a little while and then go like, okay, if I really want the pizza, I'm going to have the pizza and make it fit into my calories. So for me, that might look like getting a frozen pizza and splitting it with my partner for dinner and having a salad on the side. And that would be filling. It would give me enough of the like, oh, that was a really nice bit of pizza, but I didn't feel the need to have a full pizza to myself. And I think that that's a lot to do with the mental health aspect of it and not kind of going with the other side of it. So the urging to overeat. So I believe that the urge to overeat is attached to binge eating disorder, and the urge to overeat is possibly something more to do with mental health than to do with, or how you're feeling at that time, than it is to do with the actual food. for me, when I ever felt like overeating, it was probably because there was something going on inside me. I was trying to escape my body by using food. So I've used the analogy before of, you know, that I am like, whenever something kind of negative comes up within me, I'm triggered, something happens, I remember something, or I don't feel good, or the negative self-talk is going at it, I would escape my body, like kind of fly into the ether. Adult Carla would be like gone, and the traumatized child would come in and take over, and she is what would consider how we're going to behave now. And her main source of comfort was always food, and she would numb out with food then. So numb out, and basically like an addict, gambling addict, alcoholic, a drug addict would use food then to numb those feelings with overeating. With overeating. How do I feel about the idea of never getting to overeat again? The term here, getting to overeat again, personally, I don't want to ever overeat again. There isn't an urge in me to need the feeling to overeat, because I have dealt with the reasoning why I overate. And I did that through therapy and working on myself and working on that negative self-talk. I would pose the question to this person is, why do you feel the need to overeat? And this is not out of judgment, this is out of, I'm honestly asking, like, why do you feel the need to overeat? What is it in you that is causing you to feel that that is something that you need to do? Would you agree? Is there anything?
Yeah, I was going to say there, like, what are you getting out of overeating? What's
the feeling?
What hole does it fill? The feeling.
Yeah.
You know, what's really going on? It's quite. If I'm honest, that one really hit me. I was like, wow, that's such a loaded question. You know, there's a lot going on for that person in that. And there is this, you know, a big thing for me when I started Body Slims was the idea of missing out. You know, what am I going to miss out on? And will I be able to, you know, avoid the missing out? Will I be able to commit enough to so I can achieve a result? And I do remember that feeling, and it's not as heavy as that, but I remember feeling, oh, I'm going to miss out. I might miss out on nights going out. I might miss out on, you know, is overeating, what is it really doing for you that you feel that you'll miss it? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know,
what is the, to me, it seems like that any kind of action gives you a feeling, you know, like it's this feeling that you're searching for. It's not, you know, like it's not the food. If you want to overeat, it's because it makes you feel a certain way, and it fills some kind of need within you, and addressing what that need is, what it gives you, and why you're looking for that need. I know for me, one of the things that when I was in my early 20s, and I used to go out a lot, like I used to go out and drink like nearly 5-6 nights a week, and if I wasn't going out, or if I didn't have somebody to go out with, and there would be other people out, like say my friends were out on dates or something and I was at home, that was one of my big binging times, is then I would kind of compensate for my FOMO, my fear of missing out, by overeating, you know, and like I would be telling myself that I didn't, you know, that I wasn't cool enough to go out, or I didn't, you know, like people didn't want to go out with me, or I was a loser, and therefore I would kind of compensate with food. I would comfort myself with food. So it could be a case of, you know, comforting yourself with food. And for me now, I don't feel the need to comfort myself with food. There isn't anything that is
missing. Yeah. It's like, it sounds a little bit to me like you're trying to fill a hole, fill something that's missing. You know, there's a part of you that feels there's something that needs to be maybe suppressed, or maybe maybe there's a rush, maybe there's a buzz, maybe there's, I'm not sure what it is with the what is the overeating, what feeling is it compensating for, and is it producing?
Because for neither of us, it's like we can continue with the rest of the questions, and this is all from one person. So do you feel hungry all the time on maintenance? No.
No. No. I only feel hungry when I need to eat something.
When I'm hungry.
When I'm hungry, yeah. So no, I never feel hungry. I never feel deprived. I think that's what it sounds like. They asked me, do I feel deprived?
No.
No.
And I never felt deprived in weight loss either.
No, neither did I. No.
I didn't, because I addressed, both of us addressed the head
issue. Yeah.
And I think like from like one of the things that you could say is like the difference between Adriana and I is that, like, Adriana was overweight, you know, would be more kind of like a typical overweight person, whereas I was very disordered in my overweight. Like in my, like, Jared from Body Slims kind of has 5 states of people. So there's like the great, good, okay, bad, and super bad. Adriana probably would be more in the bad. You know, like just kind of bad habits, bad, you know, like things, whereas like I was like, you know, a former bulimic, like a food addict, binge eater, you know, so like my behavior was quite extreme as opposed to, and neither of us, I think one of the beauties of Body Sims as well is that it addresses your behaviors and why you feel certain ways, you know, like it kind of, even for like people, the more kind of like standard overweight, you know, it kind of addresses why you might feel like that, you know, and for somebody like me, it also reiterates and kind of reinforces what I was learning in therapy, because I personally had to do both. You know, I don't know if Body Sims would have been enough for me.
Probably not.
Yeah, probably but I needed the combo of the two. So I know I'm getting off piste here, but like I didn't feel like, as somebody who was super bad, I didn't feel hungry on weight loss because I addressed the psychological reasoning behind why I was craving food. And I would say similar for you, Body Slims helped you to just give you a method and an organization, a structure around eating and what I was doing. So I never ever felt deprived or that I was missing out or that I never, and I never feel hungry now or necessarily. Like I feel hungry because I'm hungry. I'm like, I need to eat. Like I've told the story a couple of times. The very first Friday on Body Slims, when I started on a Monday, was sailing through grand. Friday hit, I didn't organize, I didn't plan, and I was like, this is bull crap. I need to eat food.
Your toys.
I was like, I need food. And Vincent literally had to sit me down and feed me tomatoes and was like, eat something. So, you know, like that was the only time I ever felt deprived, and that was only from my own actions because I wasn't prepared enough, you know. So, but no, I didn't ever feel hungry. How do I go through the hard times without using food? I allow myself to process the discomfort that I'm feeling, as opposed to trying to escape it. I was using food as a methodology of escape, and now I sit with the discomfort. And I think that's something that we do, is try to escape the discomfort consistently, like all the time. And that's what I was doing. And now I've learned, and I have the coping mechanisms to deal with any discomfort that comes up and process it, as opposed to escaping it with food and shoving it down until one day it explodes at me, because that's what happened to me. It literally exploded on the N7 with me. So would you do it?
I don't have that, you know. So it doesn't, I can't relate to it as much as you can. Do you know what I mean? It's different. It's different for me.
And then this question I thought was really interesting. It's all in the same kind of boat around our habits and challenges, and it's, does life feel somewhat empty or frustrating without the addiction? Life feels so much fuller without the addiction. Life feels so much lighter, physically and mentally, freer. It feels so much better. I get so much more now from living my best life than I ever did in my previous iteration, from having like full-blown food addiction to now having like to being a recovered addict. And it's something that I'll always have to continue to work on and practice on. But like, my life is so much fuller. I think even in, like, you can see it in videos from the very start of my journey to now, like I'm sure you've seen it, like I am so much lighter and happier and nicer and less chilled. I'm so much, chilled. I'm just so much, like, the inner turmoil in me it's not there. It's relaxed, it's quiet, and the quiet is amazing. To be able to sit in my own self in silence is beautiful. I feel so much fuller now than empty. My addiction was like a bad roommate, you know, and it's like getting rid of that roommate that, you know, and giving yourself this beautiful huge apartment that you can do whatever you want with it, you know, and decorate it in every way you want and treat it how you want. That's what it's like.
This, for me, it's I don't have the addiction aspect of it, but for me, having lost all of 6.5 stone, there's such a freedom in it. It's just such a relief. It's like, I don't have to tackle that again, and I never want to have to lose 6.5 stone again. And that's one of my major motivations for staying in maintenance, you know, for maintaining the weight. That is my purpose. I don't ever want to have to do that again, so I won't. Nothing is worth it. Nothing is worth eating too much, or, you know, consistently eating too much till I put back on that weight again. It's just not happening.
Isn't it mad that you don't have to lose weight anymore?
It's fabulous. It's like when you quit smoking and you go, check, don't have to do that anymore. You know,
yeah.
Check, don't have to do that anymore. It's like, and I was thinking that today, like the freedom of walking into a shop. What? There's just nothing. Walking into a shop and going, like, I'm a size 10 to 12. I'm 12 on the bottom, 10 on the top. Sometimes I'm a 10, depends where you go. You know yourself, you know what it's like. But you go into a shop and you pick out 2 or 3 items off the shelf, or 5 items, and you go, me, not you. You go in and you try them on, and they fit. And it's just a case of, well, how many of these can I afford? You know, It's like, which one of this am I going to...
The problem is now is finance.
It's finance.
Not
exactly. It's my wallet's having the issue.
Yeah.
So and when you get an invite to something, you know, and the first thought would have been, Christ, what am I going to wear?
Yeah.
You know,
or I can't go.
I can't go? Oh, well, okay, yeah. But yeah, like something that doesn't make me look like I'm wearing a tent. Like, you know, it's just the freedom and the lightness of it, and it's just
so much easier.
Oh, it's so much easier. Life is just so much easier and better
every way.
Yeah.
And it's not about the weight.
No.
Well, there is obviously, it's about the weight as well. You know, like, obviously, clearly, like, going into a shop and you know, being able to is about the weight, but it's also about just this. It's the mental freedom.
Yeah.
Like, not having to lose weight anymore. I don't have to lose weight. And 30 years. Nearly. I've been on a diet since I was 5 years old.
I've been on a diet since I was 8. 8 to 48.
40 years on a diet. I was 30 years on a diet.
To one degree or another.
Yeah.
To some, like,
to know that you need to lose weight.
Yes. Yeah.
40 years.
Yeah. In that kind of, that's horrible mental torture. That's just horrible.
Others. Okay. How do you deal with family and friends who at first supported your healthy lifestyle, but then are possibly jealous and sabotaging your efforts? What do you say to them when they think you are losing too much? Mind your own business.
Mind your own goddamn. Truthfully, I haven't had too much of that. I have had a couple of people, well-meaning, saying to me, "You've enough now. That's enough now. Don't be going." And I was like, I was still going for another stone at that stage, or another like 14 pounds.
Past this, or
no?
Okay.
No, before I finished. You know, I'd be like 5 stone down. You know, and they were like, "You're grand now. You're grand." And I'm not at great yet. You know, and that was in my head, and I just like, okay, you just pipe down. No, I'm going to do my own thing. But I remember thinking, you know, it's very, very important, and when we were talking about this, I must say this, that when I started Body Slims, when I sat in the chair that first night, I didn't tell anybody what I was doing. I didn't want anybody knowing, or it's a damning indictment actually of women and what we have to go through. What I'm about to say is that most women have been on a diet to some degree or other all of their lives, and they are experts. Every woman, almost without exception, and I love all the sisters, are experts.
And we were too.
Yeah, in what you should be doing to lose weight. So if you start telling someone, I'm going to go to Body Slims, they do this, they do that, and the people start saying, oh no, you shouldn't be doing that, oh no, you should be going to here, or you should be doing this, or you might try that, or actually this would be a better idea for you, or that's not sustainable, or, you know, so I didn't want any of that, because there's only so many windows of opportunity in a career of somebody who's been overweight for a long time, where you think to yourself, and career was the wrong word, but you know what I mean, I have to do something about this. I'm going to, or you see a photograph or something makes you go, oh here, I like this, I'm not doing this anymore. And you think to yourself, I have to change, I have to do something. There's only so many of those opportunities. And if you give up too much of your energy by sharing it, by sharing what you're about to do, or what you're going to do, or what you are doing, people can suck the life out of it for you. You know, so be very cautious about who you tell what you're doing, when you're doing it, because there is only so many windows of opportunity. I think that's
really, you know, I think it's really important, because like for myself, somebody who had been dieting or losing weight for 30 years, there were 3 times where I had big win, where it opened up and I went, I'm going to do this. Yeah. And in the first 2, I chose different methodologies. I chose keto, actually I chose Atkins, then keto, and then my final one was Body Slims. And the first 2 were the wrong ones for me, and I had never addressed my head. If you already have so much negative stuff going on in your head, and so much kind of questions, and you don't know if you're doing the right thing, by getting a confederation of dunces, as Jared calls it, together to tell you what you're doing wrong, or doing, you know, right or wrong mostly, you know, you can it just can totally throw you, you know, like it can completely ruin the progress and your route. So keeping it very small to a certain number of people, like Adriana didn't tell anybody,
just my husband and my daughter.
Yeah, and I told Adriana and Vincent and 2 people from work who were not the type to give me advice about it. They would just listen, and that was it, until it was too obvious that I had lost weight, that I had to start telling people that I was losing weight. Like, I was 5 stone down, and I was like, okay, I can't hide it anymore, you know. And even then people started with I remember you telling me, like, when Adriana brought me to my very first Body Slims, and this is not like an ad for Body Slims or anything like that, it's just the program that we did successfully.
Our reality,
When I sat down in the first one, you know, we sat separate to everybody, and you sat separate on your first one with your headphones in
the door. I would sat, and like the first night, I remember getting weighed in the first night, and Oren weighed me in, shout out to Oren, and he said to me, go on, sit up the front there now, and Jared will be up shortly. So I did. I went up the front, I put my headphones in, I opened my book, and I didn't speak to a soul around me, and I didn't speak to a soul. I take the headphones out when Jared came on, I listened to him, and when he finished, I stood up and walked out the door. I didn't want to hear a word of it. I didn't want to hear anybody's opinions, anybody's shortcomings, anybody's ideas that were alternative to this. This is what I was doing. Yeah. So, and like that, it just sucked the life out of you. You know, and I also think there's people in your life, and I know I know people who probably have partners who don't support them and don't, because they don't want to have a look at their own stuff, whatever's going on. So having if there's nobody around you that will really support you, make sure you don't tell people who will suck the life out of you. You know, just keep it to a very small, tight, that would be my advice. And that was certainly what I did and what you did.
I did find in terms of the jealousy thing, I don't think I can't say whether I've experienced necessary jealousy based on it, but based on my weight loss, but I know now that I am smaller, skinnier, svelter, slimmer, whatever term you want to use, than people in my, like, that I would have been very good friends with before, or people I knew before. And I think that there is a certain dynamic that shifts when you wear the plus size, in my case morbidly obese friend, and now you're not.
Yeah.
And I think that there can be issues around that. It kind of can change the dynamics of a friendship, and it's, you know, I don't know whether it's jealousy, you know, like, or can't speak to jealousy per se, but I've noticed there's definitely shifts in it. But I think it's just really important to stay true to yourself and who you are, and stay grounded in who you are and what you believe in and what you know as yourself. Because to me, previously, I didn't know who I was. I was projecting this image of what I thought I should be and what I thought the world wanted me to be. But now I am who I am, and I'm very comfortable in my shoes. And if somebody's not happy with that, then that's okay. They don't have to be happy with that. You know, we can part ways amicably. Like, there's no bad blood, you know, but just, that's their stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, that's their stuff.
Okay, well, do a real quick one. Do you ever do your walks indoors, like a home workout video or treadmill? The weather can be very different each day, and allergies are terrible. Just looking for ideas.
Hand on heart, no, cannot stand treadmills. Hate them with a passion. I would rather walk through hail, rain, wind, sleet or snow. Crawl if I have to. No is the short answer to that. It doesn't help you, I know, but if it's a gym is the only way you can do it, then do a gym. But personally, I hate treadmills with a passion.
I'm the same. I don't have a treadmill. There have been times where I've considered buying one, especially on my weight loss journey when it was like January and I was walking in ice with my crampons on, and I was like, treadmill seems real appealing right now. I know, like, I have a friend from Instagram called Iris, or Irina, Iris Watch Me Melt, and she lives in Texas and walks on a treadmill because, you know, walking outside in 45 degrees in Texas, not appealing. She also she walks at night, like really late, because she's a lawyer and she is a high, you know, she's doing her own business, so like she can't do it during the day. She does it late at night. Not exactly safe to be walking around midnight, you know, so she does it inside. So it's to each their own. There is no reason why you can't walk inside. I just choose not to. I couldn't, like, this would be the room that I would do it in. Like, to me, it's, I would, like, I have the sea there, so, and now you do too. So we now live 15 minutes away from each other, which is, we've talked on for so long.
We've run out of space.
We've run out of space on everything. So we're going to finish this Q&A. I might have to split this into 2 videos already. We didn't even get to answer every question. So I think if you're up for it, we can do another one. If you would like to watch, we'll do another one. And if you've made it to the end of the video, please leave us the twins emoji down in the comments down below. And if you have any questions that you would like us to answer in a future video, please leave them again in the comments down below. And thank you very much, Adriana, for joining me today and for joining all of us.
Thanks for listening.
And please go and follow Adriana's jewellery company, Doyle Design. I'll leave the link down below. If you would like beautiful handmade Irish jewellery that ships anywhere in the world, you can always use the code Carla10 for 10% off. And show her some love. And yeah, if you have any questions that you'd like us to do in a future one, if you'd be interested in us doing a podcast of this kind of thing, let us know in the comments down below. We will love you and leave you and talk to you very soon. Bye guys.
Thank you, bye.
Cool.
Oh yeah,
marketing. That's why they pay me nothing.
Pretty gorgeous.
Look at the colour difference between the two of us.
I am brown, you are white. There was a photograph you put up the other day and I looked like I had something grown out of my head.
Wasn't it?
It was like it was something behind me, but it was like a fucking twig growing out the top of my head. I was like, what the hell, why, can you not delete that?
Could you not put something with that, for fuck's sake?
Photoshop.
Did that have to go on the fucking internet? Sorry.
Scarlet.
Scarlet for you. But like, can you flatten your hand?
No, it doesn't work.
Did
I tell you I'm working on mobility training? Did I mention that to you?
Yeah. Why?
No.
Are you broken?
No, my knees fucked.
Oh, your knees are fucked. Yeah.